Hello, gentlemen.
Evening, fellas. Evening.
Evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pundits Podcast number 31, apparently. I thought we'd have done way more than that, but we haven't. We have an old friend of ours. Jade, you can go and fuck yourself, first of all. Start off the evening. We have an old friend of ours called Judge Rugby over here. I think the last time we saw Shaun grace our presence when we were allowed to have a podcast in studio. We had a lovely little podcast studio in Durhamville, and Shaun used to come through to come and join us and talk a lot of fucking Springbok rugby during the World Cup. So Judge Rugby is back, Shaun. We have our Shaun, you are muted, by the way, if you didn't know that. And there we go. You can unmute yourself. It's fine. And obviously we have our fan favorite Kooks. Kooks, I'm very disappointed that you have fucking repping merch on you. So unless you are not repping the Pundits fucking Pundits fucking Betway code, I'm not into this.
Unfortunately,
stick with you.
Unfortunately, it was the first hoodie I grabbed, and by the time I realized what it was a Betway one, I was like, "Well, I'm stuck with it now."
You can have the Betway one, but you got to punt our fucking code. So if you don't punt our code, you're gonna be in trouble.
I will.
You can have
it. Trouble.
We are known to have disciplinary hearings for shit like this.
And I can't get that code in Amsterdam.
You can when you get here, but you're gonna get fucked up when you get here. That's all I'm saying. And then we have the good old Jared Wright, who many fans wanted him back. So especially when they heard that Sharky confirmed for today, Sharky being Judge Rugby confirmed, they were like, yes, Judge Rugby in, Jared Wright has to be in. So I was like, we got to make it happen. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have the fucking Lions tour. We have the Lions squad. I'm just going to be controversial from the get-go. I think it's bang average. So we're going to go straight to Jared. And Jared's going to allow me, is going to either prove me wrong or he's going to agree with me. So I'm going to go straight to Jared to sort of dissect this.
Well, generally don't think it's bang average. I think it's a bit better than bang average. I think Gats has gone and shot everyone shitless. Like, there's a couple of guys in there. The fact that he chose 8 Scotsmen is just mind-blowing. Like, it doesn't matter who those 8 Scotsmen are. I tweeted before the announcements, if he picks 3, then that's like a general Gatlin squad.
Isn't that bang average, though? 8 Scotsmen.
Yeah, you would think so, but if you look at the Scotsmen that he's actually included, most of them deserve to be there. I would say the only guy that really sticks out that's like a 50-50 call for me is Xander Ferguson. And it's just because I think Carl Sinclair is a better tight head prop. The other guys,
So what you're trying to tell us, Jared, right now is we are actually going to abuse them at tight 5 time.
Well, it depends who we've got as our second loose head, because he'll be going up against Xander Ferguson probably. So
which is probably better than him anyway, so we're okay.
Yeah. So Kitsoff will be going off against Tag Furlong, which will be the highlights of the Lions tour probably. But otherwise, there's a lot of inclusions that just makes sense. And from what I see, he's got a certain style of play that he wants to play with, and those are the players he's picked to fit that. So yeah, like with these 8s, they all run in 8s. All of them they're going to be stationing them out wide, and he's going to be running with them in the last 15 channels kind of thing. That's why we don't see a Billy Vunipola or a CJ Stander or big ball carrier like that at number 8. So I think we're going to see a very attacking-minded British and Irish Lions team, very un-Gatland-like.
Yeah. So before we get to the rest of the team, I just want to let you guys know that we have 2 rugby coaches in this group. So being Shaun and Kooks, we have a Jared.
I do have a level.
We have a Jared Wright here. That's probably the most analytical rugby person that we have in the group here. So if there's someone that's watched video and someone that's watched patterns, it's probably him. So we're all fucked when it comes to that point of view. And so we pretty much have 3. We have 2 rugby coaches, an analyst, and me who just coaches and doesn't mean anything. Like my point of view doesn't mean anything right now. So yeah, so for the people that are watching, I just want to let you know that's the situation right now. Let's go to Shaun, who hasn't featured since the Rugby World Cup final on the podcast, and let's have a little chat. What do you think of the Lions squad, Shawnee? If you tell me something about Eddie Jones or whatever, I'm gonna fucking kick you off the podcast right now. I'm just gonna let you know.
Mate, I tell you, I agree with Jared and almost everyone. If you look at when that squad was announced, there was shock. That was the only thing that was kind of really sort of running through everyone's veins at that time. It was quite a strange look and a strange feel. So I agree with Jared and what he says in terms of what's happening with the 8s and how they're going to work it. But Gatland's coming to South Africa with a different game plan. He's coming to South Africa with nothing we're used to seeing come out of Northern Hemisphere rugby, and certainly nothing we're used to seeing coming out of Lions rugby.
But does he know what he's doing, Shaun?
Listen, he doesn't have a shit track record, so I mean, I can't exactly shoot the guy down. You really can't. You really want to let this rest on how the Chiefs performed last season. That's your own baby. But the thing is he's changed up stuff. Like they are definite. The gambles that he's gone with are the guys that are going to could potentially be exposed every now and then. Duan van der Merwe can definitely be exposed on defense, but he's going to add a shitload of value when he's running at you. And if they can fix the defense situation, or they can fix up their patterns and their lines, it'll be better. Finn Russell, I don't think he's going to get a hell of a lot of test match rugby. He can win you a game, but he can.
Is he the midweek fly off?
Listen, he's always going to be in the running for at least a little bit of bench, and it all depends what they do with Farrell. But I believe Farrell's going on tour as a 10. I don't believe he's going there as a 12 option.
You think Bundy Aki is more of the 12 that Gats is going for? You know, that big carrier, someone to sort of test Damien in that channel.
I think Aki's going to test Damien defensively. I think on attack, Damien probably defensive wise. I think our setup will be much better. I think Henshaw also carries really well, but Henshaw's a big carrier, but he's also quite a clever runner. So we really need to be on point there. And I just think having Farrell at 12 and having Aki or Henshaw at 12, or Aki and Henshaw in the midfield, they really, really are plugging those gaps for all the big boys coming through. Whether it's Farrell at 13 or Henshaw, I don't know. But I just think, I think Sinclair, I am shocked, probably more than any other exclusion. I think Sinclair not going and Fox not going are the two big ones for me. But Sinclair, I really feel that we're lucky that he's not coming. And I do think that he is probably one of the first guys to come if there's an injury. But, everyone likes to point out that he has performed against South Africa, but he played 3 minutes in a World Cup final. So,
we fucked him up in that World Cup final. That's why he only played 3 minutes. So.
No, it's called concussion, but we'll talk about that later. And then, it's just so I think it's quite interesting what he's done. He's changing the dynamic. So I tell you now, Rassie and Jacques Nienaber and the rest of the coaching guys have now had to kind of think, right, what combinations is he going to start with? What's Gatlin really looking at? What sort of game plans he going on? Because this is not going to be normal to start off with. The first test possibly, but I think he's going to break out in the second and third maybe if the guys are ready.
Kooks, give us your take.
Like I agree a lot with what Sharky and Jared has said. I think it's a different squad. You know what I mean? There are elements of what
I think we both shocked. Before you get to there, like Finn Russell made the team, so you in. You solely in.
I started watching when his name was called out. I started celebrating. I was like Finn is getting on the plane. But yeah, I mean, there's elements there. I mean, Gats loves his big backs. So I wasn't too surprised to see Bandi Aki actually making the side of. Because I do think like what he spoke about last week, like Jared said, even if Tuolagi had been playing the whole year, you'd probably been the first player on the bus. So I think where Gatland is trying to replace what Tuolagi brings in Bandi Aki, and I think I won't be surprised to see him start at 12. I think that's to negate obviously Damien and obviously the box. Damien plays a massive role at the box. The game plan pretty much starts off with Damien carrying on for the box. So I think he's going to try and match them up front. And like I said, Carl Sinclair, like in every single squad that I penned out and read from every pundit, I mean, he was either on the bench or starting. So for him not to make the side completely, I found it shocking. I mean, for me, I would have someone like Carl Sinclair off the bench. I think him coming on the last 30 minutes, it would make such a massive game difference. Obviously, I think his scrumming is good. He's great. Obviously, great with the ball in hand. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I must say, I thought you'd see someone like a Josh Naividi coming through. But I'm glad to see that. What is he called by one of the writers? The Hobbit, Amish Watson. So it's an interesting squad. I think it's a pretty good squad. I'm not going to lie. But like Sharky said, I wouldn't be surprised to see someone like Finn Russell on the bench in a test in one of the tests, and something where Gatlin goes something completely different. So it's going to be exciting.
Kooksy, if I was you, if you have a box squad or let's say a quarterfinal, semi-final, final box squad. Obviously, take the exclusions out of it. Fit, raring to go. Are you worried about any British Lions? Are you worried about their pack at this point in time? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I think we bully them pack time. I think if our guys are on top form, and when I say top form, I don't mean game time because we're always going to be undercooked on that point. But I mean physical peak condition, physical. Really physically raring to go out. I think we still bully them. I don't think they have an answer to us come pack time.
Listen, I look back at that semi-final we played against Wales, and I thought Wales fronted up really well. I mean, they were frontal low turnover from going to a World Cup final. I mean, so.
But a very different pack to that, though.
No,
if you look at what they picked.
But I mean, look what they pick. I mean, I think they get the best of. I mean, Ty Furlong is one of the best scrummers in the world. I mean, you get someone like that coming on. I mean, I think there's elements to that. I mean, listen, Gatlin does have a good record against the box, and I do think that he has picked a pack that can front up. I mean, my biggest worry with the box is who's going to be the reserve loose head, and you look at that. So I mean, it's things like that. I mean, obviously you can see he's also gone for a lot of height in line-out times, and obviously someone like an Ian Henderson and guys like that. So it is interesting with what he's gone for, and if you look at, for example, and there's a lot of line-out specialists that he's picked. So I do think they have a pack that can front up. Obviously, I don't know. I do think the forward battle will be a lot closer than what you're calling it. I think it's going to be a tight forward battle.
Jared, let's go across to you. So if we say. So pack-wise, let's keep the pack chat going. I think I'm probably being a bit too biased, but, I think there were a few guys that probably missed out in that pack that probably could have... I know he's picked more forwards than backs. Obviously, for that physicality, Gatlin has done that. Do you think he's picked the right guys, physicality-wise? Because... I think he's missed the boat on a few players.
Yeah, I think there's always a couple of arguments that you can make, especially when it comes to your back rowers. I mean, they said they had a 4-hour conversation about it. But yeah, I think somebody like Sam Underhill, they really should have gone with. I think he would have made a massive difference to their pack.
Sorry,
But,
just hang on, Jared. Sorry. Jade, if you carry on with that comparison, I'm kicking you the fuck out of this chat. Okay, we can carry on now. Sorry, Jared.
No, I think he has made a few odd calls, if we can call it that, or interesting calls. I think he's trying to get a few big bruisers in his team, and then he's throwing in some of the guys like Simmons and Jack Conan and Falatal to run it hard in the wider channels and that. But he's gone with guys that have proven to play in hard packs. Like you look at Luke Cowan-Dick, he's playing with Exeter. Exeter's pack is a monster pack. And say what we want about that England pack, so is theirs. Like Maro Itoje, if he gets going again, he's a hell of a guy to stop. I think he could have gone with James Ryan. Yeah. I really think he would have added value. He could have added real value. And he actually said that he was looking at Navidi, but he had an injury concern, and having just come off of a long layoff, like it's a bit of a risk. And I think that's a lot of his decisions were made on those risks, like not taking Jonathan Sexton because he's had injury troubles. So I don't know what the situation is for them to replace players, but I think that's played a big role in how he's decided his final 37. And Shaun will probably kill me if I don't mention it, but Courtney Lawes being in that team automatically takes their physicality up to another level. That guy is like he would slot into a Springbok pack seamlessly.
Yeah, 100%.
But I do think that we all had him in our squads. I think like if he was fit enough, we all said if he's fit enough, he's going. So I think we look at Courtney Lawes as someone as, you know, he's a non-negotiable. If he's fit, you take him. So I don't think it's that much of a shock for all of us. I think on your point, and we'll go across to Shaun so he can sort of touch on it, but I think if you were wondering a big ball carrier and maybe a big tackler in a way, wouldn't you look at CJ Stander at any point, Shaun?
Yeah, so it's kind of hard. Like I don't think you can overlook CJ Stander if you ever look at his stats and his numbers. But how we look at an 8 that's going to play, but then you look at the mold of the 8s that have gone and how loose they are. So going to Carl Sinclair, if you have a look at what we think Gatland's going to play with his test side that he's put up, is Sinclair adds a hell of a lot of value in open play. He's got phenomenal ball skills and he's got some really good vision. So I'm quite interested to see how the tight 5 act. I agree on Ryan not going, not being overlooked. Like I find that a bit hard, but I think it's one of those little seesaw votes of, you know, is he going to be fit? Isn't he going to be fit?
But for like a Henderson, Sharky, like someone that's so shy of test caps, like, is he really better than a Ryan? They could probably play both sides if you really have to.
Oh, I don't know. The balance is a weird conversation. Like it's quite hard, and you know we can look at any test side and discuss the balance when we look at the coaches but now we've got 4 countries to pick from, and it's really hard, like, to try and balance it out. Like Courtney Lawes for me, like the fact that we found out now
it's not negotiable
that he was the last man selected was quite a surprise for me, and I think that was going down to an injury discussion. I I think not having Navidi is tough, but I think with Curry and Watson, Navidi doesn't take either of their places, or perhaps Watson took Navidi's place, because I think that they're going to have Curry, Watson like open side, and then they're going to have Laws or Tipperick or someone on the blind side. I think Itoje is going to play lock. I don't know if he'll play on the blind side under Gats. And from a pack point of view, there's no ways that we are absolutely going to monitor them. We are not going to look back at the end of this test series and go, we thumped them 3-0 because our pack destroyed them. This not going to happen. Like, I'm not saying we're not going to get the upper hand, but we're not going to walk all over them. Like, there's
I'm
no
going to be against you, and I'm going to be like, we're going to fuck them up.
Yeah, but that's a South African mentality.
You got too many Englishmen in that pack, and I think they're going to struggle.
You forget that the English pack were the most feared pack in the 2019 World Cup.
But they don't have Rusty Erasmus and Jock in their camp. That's the difference.
That's fine, but that doesn't take away that they were on top of the game. So they've had an up and down time. You can't. You look at a guy like Brian Abana. When Abana was at the Stormers and he was going in that dip, everyone wanted to get rid of him. Like, they were like, he shouldn't even be starting for the Stormers. A season and a bit he played badly, and then he made a comeback. And then look at what he did. If you think that the English side are gone because of what has happened in the last 8 months, then that's South Africa's first problem. Is we've got to respect them. And Gatland's also, he's sharp. He's Eddie Jones sharp. Like, he understands a lot and he knows what to get out of his players.
Do you know my problem is though with this whole thing is that I think I don't take anything away from him. I think they're going to front up. And he's been very clever picking a side to sort of counter. But you know what I've felt is that Gatland has picked a pack to counter us, not to really beat us. And it's a different sense in a coaching point of view. Like, I might be wrong here, and I'm willing to take it. Like, if I'm completely wrong and I get shown up, that's fine. But instead of beating us, I feel Gatland has picked a pack or a bunch of forwards that can match us. And I'm quite interested to hear what you guys have to say about that. Do you agree or do you disagree? And let's start with Sharky. You just start off with, and then we go Kooks, and then we go Jared afterwards.
So I don't have a problem with if that is his approach. I don't have a problem with it, because the thing is he's bringing a team together that haven't really played together. So that's always one of the biggest concerns of the British and Irish Lions, is you're bringing a whole bunch of guys together. They all know each other. They know each other's strengths and weaknesses, but can they play together? Are the combo set? So if he can just equalize at set piece time, if he can just, for those 10, 15 seconds each time, if he can make sure that they're just even, slightly better or slightly worse than us, and they can get the ball out, I think perhaps that where he might be looking at saying, cool, let's work on the open play. Let's make our set pieces slightly smaller. We all know, as much as everyone says that we have the biggest packs, the biggest players, we are not that much bigger, but we all know that it's the Springbok side in form. If you decide that you want to dig your heels in and you want to take us up front, there's a fairly good chance you're going to get beaten. So yeah. I don't necessarily think he's picked a squad to rumble us. I think he's picked a squad to, what's the best way we can get stuff out of type 5 situations and maybe maximize on open play space.
Okay. That's fair enough. I agree with that. Kooks?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. What Shaun said. I mean, you look at England, for example, in the World Cup final, and I always felt England, for example, is when they're playing against Springboks, I think they all just sit them like, listen, we're gonna try and beat the Springboks in their own game. We're gonna try and bully them up front, and they always come up short. I mean, that's when I feel like they always come up short. And you look at someone like Wales with Gats has been so good, where they do front up, but he always tweaks a few things. I mean, the Boks, for the last couple of years,
I think they've matched us. Kooks, to be fair, I think they've actually probably matched us the best out of all of those sides.
I mean, yeah, I think with Gats, like, I think he does find a way to get his packs to front up and also just compete in a slightly different way, right? Where I think with the forwards he's picked, like, I mean, there's going to be a lot of ball in hand play. I mean, you look at Johnny Hill from Exeter. I mean, he's very good. He's also got very good hands. You look at like Sam Simmons. I can't wait to see Sam Simmons play. I mean, geez, like I don't know what
that's quite a baller. That I won't lie.
I don't know what he's done to Eddie Jones. So I'm keen to see him play and Jack Conant. I mean, those two don't even start for the national side. So clearly, Gats does have a plan. So I do think he has also picked a pack to try and beat the Springboks. I do think he's going to try and target, like with those runners there. I mean, try and target our wings in like Mapimpi and Colby, and sending down a Jack Conant to come running that channel, sending down a Sam Simmons in that channel. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go. But yeah, I do think he's picked a pack. Obviously, I think he's done the best of both, where he can obviously try and negate us, especially at scrum time, and then obviously, because for me, I think the strength of the Bog pack is not the 8; it's the 16 as a whole. I mean, Beast comes off and then Kitsov comes on. I mean, that's the two best losers in the world. And Bongi comes off and then Marks comes on. So I think that's where the strength is. I think it's not there's a big gap between everyone else. It's the fact that they can pick almost two identical packs. So you're not losing much. So it's not like you're picking the one prop that comes on is actually like the reserve prop is slightly is a lot worse. They're almost on par. They're almost at the same level. So that's where that's for me is the strength. I think with the likes of Ferguson, I think that's why he probably got the nod ahead of Sinclair to try and negate that factor. Like, listen, we need to try and front up at scrum time. So that's where I feel like he's gone and tried to obviously match the box.
Before we get to Jared, I just want to add something to that, Kooks. I think that I totally agree with you and Sharky with what you have to say in a lot of things. That it's matching, but it's also sort of trying to counter in a way.
Yeah.
My concern, my thing with Gats though is Gats has a certain game plan, and I think all four of us will sort of understand. Like when you see Gats pick a team, we sort of understand the type of rugby he wants to play. And we're going to move to Jared now, and Jared can maybe start off the conversation with this. Don't you think this style of play that Gats is looking to play is slightly out of his comfort zone? Because we pretty I'm not going to say hands-on or set on how Gats plays, but we have a good idea on how he plays and how he sets his pack up, how he sets his back line up, those little things. Jared, to you, and you can actually start the conversation going around, do you feel that Gats has maybe thrown too much in the hat? Do you think he's actually able to coach that way where, a little bit more flair, a little bit more this? Or is it better that Gats just sticks to what he knows and how he sort of prepares teams?
Yeah, I think Gats has been very influenced in what happened at the Chiefs. I think he's seen what the New Zealanders are doing, and he's sort of picked a team to fit that bill and to say, okay, cool. I want a Artie Severe type of 8 out wide. I want a Lachlan Boshier getting over the ball. I think that's what has prompted this sort of surprising team. And a lot of people are praising, like Colin Cooper, what he's done with the Chiefs since Gats has left. But how much of the foundations did he actually lay for the Chiefs to be this successful this year? I mean, you don't get polar opposites like that just automatically in a club system. You can get it right at international level like Rassi did, but you're not going to get it right at a club level with the exact same players. So I think they is doing that. And if I look at the pack, I don't think he's necessarily trying to front up against us. I think what he has got a bit of a trick up his sleeve, and I think he's going to be wanting to dominate the breakdown. If I have a look at some of the players that he's got in there, your Ian Henderson, he was one of the top Pulfers in the Six Nations. So was Tag Byrne, and then you've got Itoje in there as well. So I think a lot of his game is going to be based around the breakdown and I don't know whether it's going to be counter-attacking after that or kicking again. I think we could get stuck into a very boring first test match. We thought the semi-final of the World Cup was boring. I think the first test match is going to be a stonker. Like, we're going to be sitting on the edge of our seat to watch it, but you're just going to be seeing Faf kick it and Murray kick it. Yeah. I really do. I really think that it's going to be a real arm wrestle, the first one, and then after that, it might break open a bit as the two coaches sort of pick out certain little things. But I really do think that Gats is going to be going hard at the breakdown, and he will possibly field something like you could even see like Hamish Watson and Justin Tipuric starting, or Justin Tipuric and Tom Curry starting a test match.
Yeah, I agree. But I must say though, I do think Gats gets a little stick about and he gets his tag as being known as like a boring coach. I mean, you look at some of the tries the Lions scored against the All Blacks in the last series, like 4 years ago. I mean, they scored some rippers. I mean, I think with Gats, I think he does cover his bases a lot, and he makes sure that obviously the pack's good, but I don't think he's a horses for courses coach. You know, obviously when he plays against the Box in the World Cup semi-final, he's not going to go there and run it for 80 meters. You know, he's going to try and, because it's almost like the semi-final was like, and I agree with you, that first test, it's almost going to be like, okay, let's see who's going to make the first move. So I'll kick it to you, then you kick it back to me. Like let's see who's going to crack first and have a dot. But I wouldn't be surprised. I think now with obviously the Lions, he's got a little bit more Arsenal, some more firepower to be like, okay, cool, now I've got a Stuart Hogg. I've got a Stuart Hogg, and listen, if I can say this is Stuart, run it back for a bit. Like, let's give the Box a crack. Where I do think with ball in hand, I think Gats will surprise a lot of people. I think they'll be not saying they'll be expansive and running everything from their own trial line, but I do think there'll be a lot more ball in hand from the Lions. And I think pack wise, like you said, he definitely does. He's going to favor the breakdown. I do think that's an area you can. I mean, obviously the Box having an out-and-out fetcher, it's an area that they will try and target. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him actually target the breakdown. And I look forward to seeing how he's going to line up, especially for that first test. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I saw Jade asking, does Alan Wynne Jones get in the side? I think he does. I mean, I think he proved in the Six Nations that he's still good enough. I thought he had a very good Six Nations. So I'm interested to see the balance that he goes with. Like you said, I wouldn't be surprised to see him going with two fetchers. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tuparik and Curry starting. I mean, for me, Curry has to start. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. What do you think, Shaun?
Yeah, I think that's a great shot, guys. Like targeting the breakdown, because the truth is the breakdown's a little bit of a shit show at the moment, and the officials haven't been announced yet, as far as I know. Jared, haven't they? So
no, but we'll probably get a few Frenchies. So that's
standard. So
it is standard.
They might be working through that with that angle, and you know, Bucky's. I really hope the Lions don't win the first test, because I'll tell you something straight. There's not 1 second of this tour that I want them to feel like they're in with a sniff. I want them. I don't care if we strangle them and hold their face underwater for the first test and nobody wants to watch it. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. If we're going to kick all day, the first test is not going to be, it's going to be a great test match for the rugby fan. But it's like the first date, man. Like, you don't really know what move to make. You don't know what's going to happen. Someone makes a move and then all of a sudden second and third dates. So we're gonna have to see what goes on there. I think we're in for an epic battle of like from the coach and management spaces, and I think everyone is way too excited to see what Gatland's going to bring out, because he's not going to show his hand in the opening games. He'll probably. There was a question earlier about when will we see the first choice Lions side run out. I reckon in the first 2 games you will see close on their best side, and that's what they did in New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. I think the first game in New Zealand they started 13.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Yeah,
it was.
It was pretty close.
Yeah, like they started 12 or 13 of the starting test match. So I think we'll see something early on, and Gats has got a lot of time with the guys. But I have a question, and we don't have to jump onto it right now, but I want to know who are we starting at 15 for the Springboks?
Willie LaRue.
I think Willie probably starts. I think for us, I think with 15, someone like Willie, I think that the role he plays in the box side, I mean, he's one of the key players in the side, and I'm more worried about what happens if he gets injured. That's my biggest concern. It's that, or if you lose Damien, that's also something that worries me a lot. If we had to lose Damien, that's my concern. Even Faf as well. I think if we don't Faf, Damien and Willie, for me, especially the way that we play, well, it worries me if they had to go down, because I mean you can see. I mean, Jacques and Rassie, I mean, Faf basically is the game plan. I mean, that's in most of the time. I mean, and Damien obviously, like, he's a world's best center. But yeah, I think surely it has to be Willie LaRue. What do you think, Jared?
Yeah, I can't see past Willie. Like, I think the Georgia tests will show how test fit Willie still is, because he's playing in Japan, and to be fair to Japan, I defend the competition quite a bit, but it is a lower standard of rugby. Like, it is significantly lower, and he maybe gets 1 or 2 games out of a season that are pretty much super rugby level. Maybe 1 or 2. So I think Willie will definitely start at least one of those 2 Georgia tests that they confirmed today. And I think a decision will be made on him from there. But I think Rassie and Jacques both have a lot of faith in him. And I don't see us throwing a Damien Willemse into the mix at like number 99. I don't see them throwing Kerwin Bosch in either. Like, we rely quite heavily on our fullback to do quite a bit of our attacking. So if we lose that, then we're really going to be going into full on bash and kick. I don't know, Shaun, do you have someone in mind that you're asking the question? Or?
No, it wasn't more. It was the starting, but I want you to lead on to this discussion about, like, what options do we have? Because the truth is Willie has to start. I don't see Willie not starting unless he makes himself unavailable or is injured. The question, and rightfully so, is where we're looking after that. I think Galant is not. I don't know how long he's out for still, but
no, I don't think he'll be back for the Lions tour.
Okay, not even fit, but not selected. You reckon he's not even going to get games in?
No, I think it's out longer. I mean, he did his knee. I mean, when was that? In the last year. So yeah, I don't think he'll be back. I doubt he'll be back.
And Willemse is like, if you're going in the order of how we're going to do things, Willemse definitely has to be in the shot. But I'm still a little uneasy with him at 15 at the moment. But to be fair, he's a little bit more settled and quite a bit more different when he plays under for the Springboks. But and I reckon for Georgia, Apalele Fassi is going to get a look in off the bench or maybe a start in the second test. I want to see what he can offer to the Boks as a Bok 15, because there's no doubt in my mind that kid's got the goods for being an international player. But I think the only thing that's going to bother him is right now is when is he going to how is he going to integrate into what we need from him. But I think his running style, the way he looks, if you look at how he's always looking to distribute and everything, he reminds me a lot of Willie. And I think and he's flipping quick. And I think he's quite elusive. I think he's elusive in a way on a rugby field that a lot of players will not understand until they get beaten by him. And I think that's going to be key. But, I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I mean? Like, a guy's good, but then he comes onto the field and he skins you in 4 meters and he steps you 3 times and you don't, like, I actually don't know what happened there. And you've got to kind of unpack that stuff in your head. Yeah. And then the next time you approach him, you're a little bit more settled. Well, maybe you get beaten again. I don't know. But I just think that he's got a little something to offer.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I do agree with you, but my problem with him at the moment is that for the Sharks, he's averaging like, I think it's about at least 5 turnovers a game. So he's making 5 errors at least a game.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it at that level, what are you going to be doing at test level? Like, I know Billy's issues with turnovers is well documented. Like when with the huge talking points in the Rugby World Cup. But he's also, a 30, 40 test cap Springbok in his 30s. And the mistakes that he's making, he might be making like smallish mistakes and they turnovers. But what if Fussie's slicing a kick because he's under pressure in his first test match against the British and Irish Lions? Like, I think there is a space for it, for him or a youngster to push through and make their debut against the Lions. I mean, Rico Ioane did it for the All Blacks in 2017.
Yeah.
But I just think for, especially as a starting fullback, I don't think it's the right time. I would rather go for Williams.
No, I'd love him to start, but I agree with you. I don't think it's the right time for him to start. But I'm going to say something. You say you're worried about him slicing a kick under pressure. You show me one of the 4 15s that we've discussed now that haven't sliced under pressure, because we don't have
100%. Yeah.
in South Africa anymore. We haven't had them for a 100%. While. Like we haven't got that Percy, the Juba, like we haven't got those guys. They're a different 15. Like I think we got more of
even misses touch.
The what?
I said our 10 even misses touch.
Yeah.
Hey, what? Won a game at least. He doesn't. He's like corner cricket. He doesn't start playing until he bleeds. So when Pollard misses a kick with touch, then he floors.
Yeah.
No, 100%. But I think my biggest concern, like I said, is there's a big gap between Willie and the next guy, and it's like, I mean, I always used to tell people, like, I never used to worry about Willie's turnover board because he is basically the one that's been tasked with creating something out of nothing at times and almost and trying to find that magic play. And that's something, and Willie always goes looking for that magic play, and sometimes it works more times than not. So that's his task. He's the one that's been tasked with that, and obviously takes a lot of the burden off Andre Pollard to do that, to obviously to in the attacking sense. It's almost like when Willie gets the ball, it's like, okay, Willie creates something, and obviously Willie sometimes obviously forces things. But so yeah, it's such a tough discussion. But I mean, talking about backlines, I mean, we spend a lot of time talking about the Lions forwards. I just find it weird that Gats has picked 113 in Chris Harris, and he wasn't the 13 that I thought would go on tour. I mean, I thought Jonathan Davis was a shoo-in. I mean, I thought he did enough close to the end of the Six Nations for him to go, and I found it interesting that like Elliot Daly was down as a center. I think we all had him in our squads. I mean, I think Gats does love a utility player like Daly. But I mean, I saw for the Saracens, he's been playing at 13 now recently. I mean, bear in mind they are playing against plumbers and works like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that is. But what do you guys think of the Lions backline? I mean, or the Lions backs that have been picked? I started with Jared.
Yeah, so I'll touch on Daly first because Shaun will probably bring it up as well anyway. But by trade, Daly's actually a centre. He's an outside centre by trade.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time at centre at the Wasps. He spent a lot of time at 13.
Yeah, so I think he was actually at some of one of Saracen's games, most recent games, just before the announcement, and he saw Daly playing 13. But yeah, I do find it weird that he's gone with Daly as a centre and Harris, and those two are your two like main 13s. Like I know Bundy could shift to 13 quite easily. I don't think he would struggle too much. He might get found once in a test match, but in the touring games, I think he'll be fine. But Henshaw is very much a 12, 13. Lukanya kind of. He can switch between the two of them seamlessly, and he does it all the time. Like wherever he needs to fill in for Leinster or Ireland, he fills in. So yeah, overall, I think they've gone for the right kind of backs, but I'm not sold that they've gone for exactly the right personnel. I think Gats would have loved to have Tuilagi in there, but he just thought it's too much of a gamble, and he would rather take a Chris Harris, knowing that he's going to be fit and he's in form, than try and risk it with Tuilagi. I think with his outside backs, I think he's pretty much got them spot on. I didn't have Duan in my team. I would have gone for an extra center wing kind of thing. But I suppose he's got that in Daly. But I think his outside backs he's nailed. And he's sort of going to go in there with Hogg, Watson, and Williams as his starting outside backs. And he's going to say to Luce, Reece, Samet, and Adams, like, force your way into the team. Like, show me that you need to be in that team.
Yeah. What do you think, Shock?
Yeah, that midfield, I think, you know what, we're talking about what we feel that they're after. I think they've done the right thing. I think their balance is a little bit skewed. Like, and it's exactly what you're saying, Jared, the personnel. Like, I think Farrell deserves it. I think he's incredible at 13. The last couple of games for Scotland and for Gloucester has been really good. Defensively, Harris. Apologies. Defensively, he's just really, really good. I just find it very weird that for me, he's gone in the place of Fox. Now, Fox is not shit. He's played he's played for the Lions at 12. He started at 12 and he started for the Lions at 13. And he was, Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was the player of the tournament against the All Blacks.
Yeah, he was playing the series,
Sure, just quickly, do you think that Daly's maybe gone instead of Davis? Just because you probably had George North going on tour, and Harris is very much a George North kind of outside centre.
I don't know. I still think. So yeah, possibly. So is Daly, was he named as a centre or a
centre?
It's listed as a
listed as a centre.
So he has to be listed at 13.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's risky, I think. But I don't think he's going to be starting a test match. So I think there's a very, very good chance Henshaw will start at 13 at least a couple times in two out of the 3 test matches. But I don't know. I just don't know how Fox doesn't make it. And I don't know if there's an injury or something, but there must have been a very interesting discussion because Gatlin and Fox have known each other for a long time. Like, it's 3 tests, 3 Lions series, and all that time with Wales. It's weird that he knows exactly what he's going to get out of him. So that also worries me a little bit in terms of what the hell is he going to bring to the party? You know, like, he's this guy.
100%. Yeah.
Well, what exactly? What the ace up the sleeve? So, yeah, I think it's interesting. I still don't think Farrell's going to be playing in the midfield. I really feel that he's going as a 10. I don't know, like, Jared, do you guys or Kooks, do you think that, like, you're going to see Bigger at 10, Farrell at 12, and Henshaw or Aki at 13, or what?
I don't think you'll have. I think, for example, I don't think Bigger and Farrell work well together as a 10-12 combination. I think if you have someone at 10, I think it's someone like we saw well Sexton and Farrell worked in the last tour, and you've seen how well George Ford and Farrell work. I think if you're having someone at 10 and someone a little bit more attacking, someone that can obviously takes charge and actually take the ball flat to the gain line, that's where, and obviously Farrell just picks a spot, because one thing about, like, on Farrell, what I do tell people is he's a lot more physical than people actually think. They almost see him as, like, yes, he is. I mean, him and Andre Paul are probably the most physical 10s out there. So, but I don't see him playing at 12 unless, for example, unless he starts my boy Finn at 10. I mean, if Finn starts all 3 tests, the Lions win 3-0. Simple as that. That's how I put my money on.
Nice.
Whoa.
I've just arrived back into this podcast, and I'm not having any of that bullshit.
Listen,
I love what you're saying about how physical he is and everything, and that again for me that just reinforces it that he's going as a 10, especially in the test matches.
100%. I think. For me, I think obviously the way it's going, you start. But yeah, like I said, it's just the balance is going to be because like I said, no one knows. It's the 13 combination. What's he going to do with Aki? What's he going to do with? Yeah. So definitely do see Farrell just playing as a 10 and not moving from there. What do you think, Jared?
Well, I think if it's funny, we're quickly dismissing that Farrell and Bigger won't work as a 10 and 12 combination. But if you think about it, like try cast your mind back to 2015, would you think that Sexton and Farrell would work together? They're like two
100%. Okay, that's fair. I mean,
they both they have big personalities and they want to.
Sorry, Jared, who did they play against?
Who?
In 2013, who did they play against?
Australia.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just put it that way, and we'll carry on the conversation right now.
No, but I'm saying like they played in 2017. It was Farrell and Sexton, and all of a sudden everyone was like, "Oh no, this combination will work." But they both like big personalities, and it's quite possible that we do see a double playmaker in that sort of role again. I think it will also depend on if Stuart Hogg nails down the 15 jersey, because otherwise I think you might be having too many playmakers in the team if you're going to go for Bigger, Farrell and Stuart Hogg all in the same lineup. It's sort of what's happened with England.
Watson must start at 15. If you're not starting Hogg, you got to start Watson at 15.
I agree with Sharky. I must say, I do agree with Sharky there. Like, Hogg is the guaranteed 15. If you're not picking him, it's got to be Watson there.
And Gats played Watson at fullback instead of Williams in the last Lions tour. Yeah, Williams on the wing. But I think that there is a chance that we might see Dan Bigger and Owen Farrell starting together at least once, whether it's against South Africa A or Invitational or something. I think it will definitely happen. But another thing that I've just sort of thought of as well is that he's picked Aki and Henshaw, who are also both excellent over the ball. So it's something that Damien the Islander has been great at the moment. And I think he's sort of gone with those two, and he is going to stick them at inside centre and try negate Damien's impact there. So it just looks like Chris Harris is going to be that starting 13 for them. And I agree with you, Sharky. It doesn't make sense that he's left Davis out unless he's left Davis out for the same reason he's left Sexton out. I mean, Davis was his man at the World Cup, and then he didn't have him for the semi-final against the Springboks. Yeah, and maybe he's just worried that he plays in one game against the Bulls and Bulls take him out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Why play him against the Bulls then?
Or the Sharks, whoever you want to say. Farsi might break his ankles. We don't know.
Yeah. But I must say though, what the thing is, I'm interested in the most. Like I wouldn't be surprised with Gats if Gats, for example, in the first test starts Conor Murray, and it becomes basically a tactical battle for the first test. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him going with an Ali Price and Gareth Davies in the last two tests, like something that we'd say that, I can say almost like you said, the first test is almost going to be a dogfight in terms of just basically just you have the ball, it's going to be boring. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see Conor Murray there starting, and then in the second test he starts to open up the playbook and say, listen, Gareth Davies or Ali Price, let's have a run at these Springboks. Who do you guys have starting at 9 for the Lions? Sharky, Mingo.
I can't see Conor Murray not starting. I think he starts all the way through. I think distribution wise he's pretty good. Like he's up there.
Yeah.
But I think his kicks, and if anything, he's come into form quite recently. He was a bit up and down at the end of the 2026 Nations, which was still finished this year. and then the 2021 Six Nations he got back in. His kicks are next level, and if you've got your cases and everyone's working, it's fine. Jared, quickly, I love what you said in terms of the midfielders being over the ball, because not only Damian Delaney is phenomenal when it comes to clearing rucks and sealing, but Lukanya is on another planet. That guy's like a loose forward in the 13 jumper sometimes. So I think that's great. But yeah, just go back. I must be honest. I think Conor Murray plays 60 minutes. It starts play 60 minutes at least for the first two tests. I don't see them not starting him unless obviously he's not fit.
I don't think they have a choice, though. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
I think Davis is quite a bit better than people give him credit for. I really do.
I'm a big fan of him.
I'm not saying he's not better. I'm not saying he can't compete, but I'm just saying on a experience, sort of how you want your game plan to run. I think you have to. I agree with Sharky there. I think you have to go Murray for at least the 60 minutes, because I think it's sort of like it's sort of a must be. I mean, he's an experienced guy. He knows how to run most game plans. You have to go with Connor for at least 60 minutes.
I think we all pretty much agree with that. Like I think everyone's sort of saying like it's a bit of a drop off from Murray. I think that's more than what I'm getting at. And if Davis is in form, he's a lot more dangerous than we're probably giving credit for. And the biggest thing for Price for me is how he can keep his head. He's sort of like in that Finn Russell of maybe 2 years ago, where you don't know if he's gonna try a long ball or a cross kick that just is not on. That's how I view it. But yeah, Murray's also been talked about as like just a great kicker and a good passer. But Munster opened up their game after their final defeat to Leinster. They played them like the next weekend or 2 weekends afterwards, and Murray was there racking up running meters as he snarked and that kind of thing. So who knows? Gats can really throw some surprises and not just the squad selection.
No, 100%. The thing is, 100%. The thing is that, like, if Conor Murray plays well, he plays 80 minutes. Like, I mean, if you look at Ireland and everybody else, like, normally when he's playing well, he doesn't come off. And I think and my biggest worry with Conor Murray is the kicking, because I mean you basically sent Julian Sevilla to France basically just to ruin his All Black career because he couldn't catch a high ball, and that's my biggest concern. And I find weird. I find it weird that not many international teams have tested Mapimpi under the high ball. It's almost like he does get a few bombing on his many. I do think the Lions will put a massive emphasis on kicking down his channel, and obviously have Liam Williams down Colby's channel. Obviously, Colby's great on the high ball, but using that extra height over Liam Williams to chase those high balls.
But Colby's better though, Kooks.
No, I mean Liam. There's no one better for me. There's no one better in the air than Liam Williams.
But
it's not chasing Colby though. I'm just gonna put it out there. It's not chasing Colby.
But Jared, Dan. You mean Dan Bigger kicking to himself? That's like the greatest cheat code in rugby. Like Dan, for some reason, Dan Bigger always gets his own kicks back. Like I have no idea how he does it. But it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. I'm
gonna give you guys. I've got it out there, sort of like question. Percentage-wise in kickers. So, who are we all taking as the Lions' first choice kicker right now? Is it going to be? Is it Faz? Is it Bigger?
I don't think there's much difference between Bigger and Farrell, to be honest. I think it's like a 1 or 2%. Like either way. Like if the one's blowing to the right,
but I'm saying if you're picking a first choice kicker right now, who are you picking?
I pick Farrell.
You picking so Kooks, Farrell, Jared? Bigger, Sharky?
If both of them are on the park, so this is the way I'm working out. If both of them are on the park, who's going to take the kicks? I think Farrell I think Farrell will.
Farrell's
I
taking
also
it.
think Farrell has got more chance of starting than Bigger for more of the test. So I'm going with Faz.
I do agree with you, Sharky, on that point of view. I think Faz has got way more of a starting opportunity than Bigger does. So he'll probably be a number one. But don't you think that the exclusion of Sexton makes even less sense in a way? Like, don't get me wrong. I understand the guy had a lot of injuries. But like his kicking percentages is like, even if you brought him on, and Jared, we spoke about it in the last episode, that if you had 20 minutes to go, you would be pretty fucking comfortable bringing Johnny Sexton on 20 minutes to go, having to take penalties at this point in time.
But I mean,
I
if you
think-
look at
Yeah, sorry, man. I think that's why the Irish are quite filthy about the Lions tour squad, and I think it got a lot to do with Sexton, because he's just a clutch player, and it's the guy that you don't want on the pitch. But I think what Gatlin's figured is that if he took Bigger, Sexton, and Farrell, he's got three very similar fly-halves. So I think he wanted two of the same and one guy to go in there and cause havoc. Whether it's havoc to the opposition's defense or just havoc to your game plan or to the way the guys are like approaching the game. Farrell might think, okay, maybe I do need to throw more of those flat balls that he's great at, because Finn's going to come in here and he's going to kick it through somebody's legs or something.
yeah.
Kooks, give.
But,
So Kooks, and
Keegs-
then Sharky, you give us a shout.
Oh, I don't know.
No, go
What
Sharky.
do you
Go
want then, my
Sharky.
man?
After you. No.
Okay,
no,
Sharky, you go. You go.
So, the thing is between Bigger and Farrell, if you're trying to compare Bigger, Farrell, and Sexton, there's like nothing there in terms of kicking for poles. So I really think it's minor. Like, I mean, listen, I know one missed kick loses a series. I get that. But I agree totally with why Russell's there to change things up. He keeps people honest. Like when Faf is on the park, when he is there, everyone is kept honest because they know that he will snipe and run. They know he can kick. They know he can do something pretty silly or rush up in defense. He keeps everyone honest. They have to keep an eye on him. You've got to keep your shit together. And I think that's what Russell's going to bring. Like, even if he comes on for the last 5 minutes or something, like just to rattle some cages. And I think there's a lot of players that Gatlin's got there that will do that kind of stuff. Like just change it up a little bit, you know?
No, I agree. I think I think the answer, if you look at in 2017, when Sexton and Farrell in the field together, Farrell was the one that kicked for poles. I think that's what he'll stick to. Like you said, there's not much in between. So I think with Sexton was purely based on the fact that he can't stay on the field. When last has he played?
Longer than 20 minutes.
When last he played 3 tests back to back or 2 tests back to back. He spends so I think, and obviously it's an area where the box can target. If you look at Bigger and Farrell, I do think they're the better defensive players as well. They can front up. Obviously, Finn only tackles on a Tuesday when he hits the tackle bags. But other than that, I think, but he makes up for it with ball in hand. So, but yeah, I think there's not much in between.
Kooks, how dare you talk about your idol like that?
No, the thing is, I love the fact that he's decided to just put the defensive game away and just focus purely on attack. We got all the strengths. I love it. Like, why?
Does he make Kooks? I'm just going to ask you, as a rugby coach, does he make your starting 15?
Captain, leader.
Oh, captain as well. Okay. No, I love it. No, I do love that. I love the fact that you are willing to just. I'm loving the fact that you're just willing to just push him out there and tell him adapt.
Yeah, 100%. No, listen, you'll be standing in the trams with the hooker at line out time. We'll get him hard. I'll make sure my 12 can tackle and make sure my flankers are ready. You can. I just need him in the ball and when to do that old Craig Cooper trick. Put him on the wing. Let him go hard out there until the ball comes.
Lads, I don't know if you got to it. I'm just going to throw it out there. So the media's been an interesting situation at this point in time.
Yeah.
We've
That
had
was gonna be my
three-
that was my quick question.
We've had three different parts of the media. We've had South African media obviously being very patriotic, but also a lot of South African media being very skeptic. We've had let's say the Southern Hemisphere media being totally against us. Let's call a spade a spade. And then we've been the Northern Hemisphere media that's already called the Lions champions, which they called England champions in the World Cup as well during the same time before the final was even played. Where we're all sitting on the situation. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been pretty fucking wound up today about a few South African journos. And it's not just about South Africa winning. It's also been just about how the amount of disrespect South African journos have shown towards the British and Irish Lions squads. And I'm also not I'm not going to disrespect the Lions in a way that's saying we're going to walk them over. And I'm going to be straight over. I'll be like Marchione calling basically calling the Lions squad a bunch of geriatrics. But
Call them hobbits.
calling them hobbits, which I think is totally disrespectful. But then also a lot of South African journalists saying, literally licking the Lions' ass, saying, they've had international rugby and we're going to be absolutely nowhere. Now, I do understand that as South Africans, we are going to be completely undercooked at international level. But people also forget at one thing is we've got quite a special coaching staff. And let's just throw back from the start to the start of the podcast. We have I'm a coach, not in rugby, but I am a coach. Sharky, you have been a coach at quite a high level. Kooks, you're a coach. Jared is basically a fucking analyst for most international teams. So we look at it this way and we go, we look at it in the South African, let's just take it as a South African point of view. I'm going to go as put my balls on the fucking wall and say cohesion is a lot more than fucking game. Oh, cohesion is way more important than match fitness in a way, because that is something you can't teach or something that you can't get you can't get into a group. What do you guys think of the whole current media situation? And just to top off, New Zealand or the rest saying we fucked, we this, we that. We've been dodging teams from the British and Irish Lions saying, or the UK media saying, we've also been dodging teams to the South African media being totally two-way biased. We're dominating and we also we're way too undercooked. Sharky, let's go with you.
Sorry.
You're on mute.
You shush. I really, I think there's a couple of things. I think people, there's obviously the clickbait. There's obviously that reaction space that people like. If they don't read my article, I don't get paid situation, which unfortunately is a festering sore in journalism everywhere, not just in rugby and in sports. I think there's also something where you've got to look back, and it's for people to look at something that's tangible. They get to understand it more. So nobody can understand how South Africa are able to do something when they haven't played anyone but South Africans. But they can see how England are playing, and they're playing badly, but they know what the guys can deliver, and they know this guy. And so it's a little bit more tangible, and therefore makes it easier for them to write stuff like that and say that it's going to be a walkover. There's no ways that either of these sides are going to get obliterated. The scoreline may be 3-0, but I reckon
it's a 2-1. It's a 2-1 either way.
Well, there's going to be 5 to 10 points, 5 to 7 points. There's going to be no blowouts anywhere. I don't feel.
Yeah.
I think there's too much in this. And then with regards to South Africa having not played and stuff, I think if anything, the Springboks in 2019, or should I say the Springboks from 2018, taught us that anything's possible. They literally rewrote everything. Like everyone's like, you've got to spend 3 years, 4 years with the side. You need to understand. You need to work on this and balance, blah blah blah. And Rassie and Jacques Naba and everyone just walked in and said, I want these guys. This is how I want to do it, and this is my philosophy.
Fuck the game. Fuck the game plan. We're doing a new game plan.
Well, how are you going to win a World Cup in 2 years? Not the conventional way. Like that's the only answer you can do it. It's not. And what we're doing is, how are we going to win this Lions tour with not having touched a rugby ball? Is again the same answer, not in the conventional way. And the one thing is, you just got to sit back and you got to have faith in the guys, because I tell you, there's no ways that Rassie and Jacques Naba and the rest of all the powers that be are going to sit back and just take a flip and hiding. Like, they are passionate. They are there.
Sharky, before we go to Kooks though, and as someone that's pretty close to club rugby as you are, and not disrespect to Kooks because he's also up in a different part of the world, but you as someone as in part of club rugby and also being part of coaching in a lot of the way, like, do you think like the media, and you know, we know the elements of coaching, we're in two different sports, so we can talk about this, and our sports aren't similar at all, but do you also feel that the parts of coaching and the parts of journalism, they don't have a fucking idea what's actually going on? Like, I understand it's selling clicks, it's selling articles, it's selling this, but do you also feel that sometimes that's that little bit, they don't get that, they don't understand that final, that final little bit of coaching when it comes to preparing a team for a competition?
So I don't think they don't understand. I think the journalists are not, they're not accountants that have been told this is the only job we have, writes about rugby, and they're like, cool, I'm just going to say something controversial. Like, I think a lot of them understand so much more, but I think that there's a whole fine line between is this going to create business? Is this not? And then conversely, the coaches and stuff also are not going to give too much more away or give too much. They want to kind of keep everything separate. This is my world, that's your world, and you've got to stay relevant. You've got to continue to write. You've got to say something every now and then. You've got to throw shit against the wall every now and then. Some shit will stick. So you can claim, oh, but I said that, but like, it's not great. It's not the most positive environment. It's quite controversial. And I think it's all depending on, I think because we've got so much traffic coming our way, I think it's just making sure that you follow the right level-headed people. Like, it's saying that people are shit and are going to get it hiding and blah. That's like, I don't know. Like, that's not my vibe. Like, if I'm happy to listen as to why you think so, and if it's plausible, then we can discuss it. And but you can't just go hard. But Carl Sinclair this weekend probably he was asked, he got man of the match this weekend, and he was asked about a few things, and he got chatting about missing the lines, and it was hard to watch that and
as a guy who's not a fan of him, as a guy that's not a fan of him, I absolutely love that chat. I enjoyed that interview to the max.
That's what it's all about, though. But then the next day, the newspaper had a headline saying, Carl Sinclair, I'm so angry at the Lions. That was all that was about. And you see those are the two things. You look at the story of what's happening and where Sinclair is and how it's going on. That guy wants to come again and play against South Africa more than anyone, because he didn't get to show how good he is in a World Cup final. Okay, yeah. So I can promise you there's more than just the Lions to this. He deserves it, and he wants it more than anyone, and he is angry. But he had laid it down, thanked the people that helped him, was emotional about it. But then you take something that is literally so beautiful and so amazing, and every single athlete, no matter what level you've played, every single athlete will look at that and understand where the guy's coming from. No athlete has cruised through to the top. Not Tiger Woods, not Michael Jordan, not any of the greatest have cruised through without having to work, without making sacrifices, without being pushed aside and told you're not good enough. So and then the newspapers whip out he's angry at the Lions, and then fuck, Carl Sinclair's at it again. What a rubbish. Like, that's the kind of cuck that makes me angry, man.
Jared, shoot. Give us a little take what you think about the media fiasco we've had recently.
Yeah, it was always going to blow up if we be honest about it. It was always something was going to kick it off, and I think Mark sparked it all by calling. I think he actually called them hobbits or something.
Yeah, he did call them hobbits, and then rugby. What's it? Rugby Pass thought they were fucking funny as well with their latest column with.
I haven't read it, but generally I do enjoy Ben Smith's articles, and he actually does generally back up whatever he's got to say. So I won't comment too much on what he had to say, just purely because I haven't read the entire article. But there always is going to be backlash from an article where you call in players hobbits, or everyone wore back. And
but I think but Jared, to be honest with you, like, as much as maybe like me, who's a biased Springbok supporter, I'm not going to ever get to the point where I'm calling any British and Irish Lions player a fucking hobbit. Like, I might say that we are going to dominate, like our pack's going to dominate them, but I'm not calling them names like hobbits or whatever. Like, I think don't you think that's a little bit of, that's like disrespectful, like to quite a max?
No,
I know Ben Smith have been saying we've been ducking and diving competition for 2 years, so you'll get to that thing.
I think that comment might be a bit of Kiwi arrogance with that one, because I mean, they picked their entire team straight out of New Zealand, and New Zealand's this little island that was quickly shut down, and they could control the pandemic. Like, it's not South Africa where we have 5 countries bordering us and you can walk over a border kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a bit of Kiwi arrogance in that statement. But yeah, it's not only the South Africans taking shots. It's I saw an Irish article where they laid into the amounts of Scottish players that were in the Lions squad.
Of course, because the quota is only one. We know the quota is only one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was Neil Francis, and he went on about how Liam Williams is a far better fullback than Stuart Hogg, and Stuart Hogg getting in the British and Irish Lions team is a farce. I mean, what utter crap! Like, Stuart Hogg's probably the best fullback in the world at the moment, and you want to call him out and say he should be in the British and Irish Lions squad. So yeah, a competition like this will always bring that kind of media, and you just need to sort of decide what you're actually going to read or like consume. You want to consume that kind of thing and let it get to you, then yeah. Unfortunately, that's it. Then they've caught you. They hooked you.
Kooks, what's your take on this whole media fucking fiasco? And if you give me a PC answer, I'm going to be pissed off, because
you know what? This whole thing has been a mess. I mean, in general, like, I sit back sometimes. In general, this is a South African thing. Us South Africans, and most of people South Africans, they underestimate European rugby. I mean, like, they generally underestimate the quality that is of the rugby in Europe. I mean, like, when our teams did the Super Rugby to go play Pro 14, and it's like, oh man, why would you play in such a shitty competition? All 5 of our sides to make the quarterfinals, and you're like, guys, do you watch Leinster, like how good Leinster is? You see how good the competition is on that side. So when Keogh calls
But
them,
Kooks, let's be honest with you. There's only 2 teams in the fucking Pro 14. It's Munster and Leinster.
yeah, but I mean, they just so far above everyone else. I mean, but the league in general is good. I mean, there's some really good rugby there. But I mean, you watch, like I said, like you watch Keogh, he calls them hobbits, and you're like, do you not watch, like, how do you say that and not watch some of the players that do perform in Europe and like I was sitting there, like, and most of the articles for me that throws me off is like, oh, we'll smash these guys 3-0. I'm like, have you not been watching these guys tearing each other in the Six Nations the last in Feb and then obviously in the last year? I mean, because I think obviously for us we do think that, like, the England we saw in the Six Nations, that's not who they really are. I mean, you're sitting there, people are going, wow, how does someone like Elliot Daly make the squad? I'm like, Elliot Daly is one hell of a fucking rugby player. Like he's an incredible rugby player. I mean, and like when you sit there and it's like, I can't believe Owen Farrell is coming on tour. I'm like, are you stupid? Like, it's one of the 10 best rugby players in the world. Like on his day, like, yes, he's a chop, but like, take away from the fact that he's not a chop, he's a bloody good rugby player. I mean, it's like, so it's things like that frustrates me. And I think obviously when you call someone hobbits, there is going to be a response. I think the Ben Smith article was that him sort of going, you know what, you Oaks are sitting here and saying you won the World Cup and you're the best team in the world. Like, you can't just sit here and just make these statements and say this and this and call other teams hobbits. So yeah, the media's been a mess, and I think it's only going to get worse. I'm just please, for Keogh's sake, I really hope we don't find ourselves losing in this, because you know what it's going to be. And like my biggest thing is also, like, they talk about, like, they say obviously the Lions are undercooked. I mean, the Lions also will have, like, we're talking about cohesion. For me, they're on tour. I mean, it's boys on tour. I mean, you watch those Lions documentaries, like the Giers that those looks pulled up, and the banter that's there. And I mean, and obviously it does help. They have like 9 million games they play before they play the Springboks. So that's one way to build up cohesion.
Listen, I've been on Kooks. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been on a few good Gees fucking tours for provincial hockey, and it ended up fucking dismal. Come to the end of the tournament, so I'm not gonna I'm just gonna throw it out there and be like,
but listen,
the Gees means nothing. That when it gets onto the Gees might be good, but when it gets onto the fucking field,
but I mean,
it might be debaucherous.
Remember, they haven't lost a series since 2009. I mean, they won the last 2. I mean, one against Australia and drew against the All Blacks. So
yeah, but welcome to altitude, mate.
100%.
They do have 2 tests in altitude, which is a different. I'm not going to say it's the be all and end all, but it is a little bit different.
But I mean, if you look at, we say that. I mean, like, the All Blacks come here and normally beat us in Ellis Park. I mean, Australia's beaten us in Bloem before, so. As much as
can't we say that they're used to it though? Because a lot of those guys have played it week in and week out. Like in whether it's Super Rugby or whether it's being part of the All Blacks test squad, they're there. They've experienced it.
But also, I get that. I mean, altitude, it will be a bit of a factor, but I still think, I mean, we don't have a good record against European teams over the last couple of years. We don't. I mean, we
especially don't have a good record against Gats. Like, we don't. So, like, if we're going to be honest, we don't have a good. But I do think, I'm going to throw something out there. I do think Gats has picked a squad to counter us more than to beat us, and that might be controversial. So I'd like to think what you think about that to maybe top the podcast off.
I mean,
whoever wants to go first.
Yeah. I think it's you look back and look at the squad. Obviously, there's certain positions, but I do think he's got a trick or 2 up his sleeve, something that he's going to catch us off guard with. And I do, like, I know a lot of people, not having played international rugby for 2 years makes a difference. And we don't have the greatest domestic rugby competition at the moment, so it's not like that's my biggest worry is. And I mean, those Oaks, they played it last year, obviously Six Nations in the tournament at the end of the year. They're just coming off Six Nations, and then obviously the European Cup. So man, I do think I'm more worried now having seen the squad because of Cats has shown that he's got a trick or two up his sleeve, and obviously, and like I said, we don't have a good record against Cats, so yeah, I do think he's got a plan up his sleeve.
Sharky and Jared will finish off the show.
Yeah, I think Gats. I don't think any professional team or squad, especially Gatland, and especially a squad made up of Northern Hemisphere giants, are going to come here with the idea of neutralizing us and hopefully scraping away with perhaps a draw or something like that. I think they're coming here to win, and I think Gatland's going to tell the guys straight off the bat. He doesn't care that we haven't played rugby. He will tell them the South Africans will be ready. It's the same conversation over and over. There's no ways Gatland and his team haven't spent time using their New Zealand clout to try and get information and find out what to expect and what to hang on and to get on. And remember, as much as the Lions are going to be missing fans, I think the Springboks are going to be missing fans. We are yet to play a test match at home where we don't have the guys all shouting and screaming for us.
Yeah.
So the fans haven't had.
When's it? Sharky, start of 2019? When last have we had fans? No, I'm saying when last have we had like a full-on homegrown fan base? Start of 2019, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. The rugby championship. Yeah.
So the thing is like there's a lot happening, and there's a lot being thrown into the melting pot for both coaching setup. And I'm telling you now, there's no ways that Gatland is looking to bow out.
Who does it?
No way Gatland is looking to bow out with just a mediocre performance. Yes.
Shocky, who does it benefit more though? No crowd. Who does it benefit more? Out of the two teams.
I reckon it's 50-50 because home ground advantage is massive for us, but the Lions boys come in freaking hard. I will say something. I do think that there would have been more Lions supporters here, which would have shocked us more.
That's why I asked the question. Who do you think it supports more? So us. You think it's?
I think it's 50-50. I really do, because it's difficult to say it's difficult to say that it hurts the Lions more because they will have more fans in South Africa. It's hard to say that because we've never experienced something like that. But that's just my feel, that they add a lot of value, and I think we add a lot of value.
No, we have, but we have experienced it before, so we'd know a few years back about what the red stadiums look like. But I'm just saying, do you think it hurts the Lions more to have less fans, or do you think it? For the Springboks, it actually gained a little bit more.
It hurts us more because we haven't played in front of an empty stadium.
Okay. That's fair enough. Jared, close up the show here, mate.
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing for me is that Gats has been sort of forced into making the first move. So him naming his squad first, he's sort of laid down the law and said, you can see it in his selections. He said, this is how we're going to play, and we're going to beat the Boks playing like this. And I think it's very Kiwi-like, the way he's picked his team. And
I love the way you're thinking. I love the way you're fucking thinking. Yeah.
So I think that's what he's going to do. And it's not about trying to negate the Springboks pack or trying to out-muscle us or anything like that. We can talk about physicality because it's always going to be a factor. It's always going to be a talking point for the Springbok team. But in all fairness, Gats is coming here with a plan to beat us, and he's picked the players to do that. He feels he's going to get it right with the coaching staff he has. I think if he had a few different members from the 2017 staff in over someone like Townsend or Steve Tandy, we would have seen a bit of a different squad. But I think he's formulated his game plan, and he's going to say, "Listen, this is what we're going to do." He's going to show the article about hobbits on the first day, and he's going to say, "Yeah, Yeah, little hobbits, go show those South Africans what you can do. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think the first game is against the Stormers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That the Stormers get, if they don't get a big harding, they will feel it afterwards. After the game, they'll be saying that was one hell of a test match.
Jared,
And the British Irish Lions
but
are
do you
here.
think this is a typical, but before you finish up, do you think this is a typical Gatland plan? Or do you think this is something way out the ordinary for Gatland?
I think Gatland is always he's always changing and developing. I mean, we when he dropped Jamie Roberts, people were like, okay, but what the hell is he going to do now? Because now he doesn't have a crash ball at 12. So I think he's moved away from his Warren Ball tactics, and he's a lot smarter than maybe we give him credit for. He's not just like your Heineken Meyer, Skop and Donner kind of thing. He's got a bit more up his sleeve.
Yeah, but I think Jared, just to add on that, I think what people forget, what Squidge Rugby said in his last video, what people forget with the Lions, they don't pick the 37 best, the hemisphere players. It's not like some sort of all-star dream team. Gats picks the team to beat the Springboks. So it's like, I'm picking this squad, so maybe I'm gonna leave, say, like a Carl Sinclair at home if I feel like it doesn't fit into my plans to beat the Springboks, because I'm not going there as a celebration to be like, well done, guys. Over the last year, you guys are the best players, so let's go out there and go on a little tour to celebrate you. It's almost like I'm picking a team. This is who I need to be in this team. You may not have Bandi Aki. You all probably agree that Bandi Aki probably may not be the best 12 in Britain and Ireland. I mean, sure, but for him, he goes, I want him in the team. Sam Simmons may not get in the England side, but the way I want to be the Springboks, I'm picking a team to be the Springboks, so he comes along on my side. So I think that's
I might be completely wrong, but is this is Gats' second time in charge, like fully in charge of the Lions? Am I wrong?
Third time. Third, yeah.
Third. So he's
Unbeaten.
So he's beaten Australia, drew to the All Blacks, and this will be
yeah. It's his fourth straight tour.
Yeah, it's not tough to beat Australia, so let's be honest with that. So
Keegan, if anyone thinks that like with his team and with his setup and the changes and the different personnel is going to make them crash and burn, they didn't watch Chasing the Sun, or they need to watch it again. Because if you want to look at a blueprint for when the odds are against you and you're going somewhere you don't know what's happening, Chasing the Sun will settle all those fears for you. You just watch it and understand, and just remember that they're doing that.
But I totally agree with you, Shoki. And that's the one thing I would be like, I think this is where probably that has annoyed me most about journalism the last few days is that I think Chasing the Sun sets the blueprint to a lot of things where not just South Africa, but also British and Irish Lions point of view, where it's not about, people sometimes always think it's about the physicality. It's about the game, like, oh, you've played 90 minutes, you've played 120 minutes in the last 3 seasons. That's actually got nothing to do with this whole situation. It's about everything else in the preparation. And I think a lot of people forget about that, is this preparation isn't about an 80-minute game plan or a 270-minute game plan, which is like 3 sets of games. Like, this game plan is coaching staff that's actually been digging deep into players. And where I like the fact where Gareth where like they've sort of like, the Lions have said like, you know what, this is what we've done. And then Jared have said like, you know what, they've played their hand now. So Jock can play his hand after that. He can sort of be, cool, well, we can sort of understand how you playing. Well, this is how we're going to play for this one. And I don't think Jock will play anything different to what Rassie has played. But we spoke about it last episode that Jock always has a special, there's this little thing that Jock throws into teams. We don't know what it is. Is it going to be on attack or is it going to be on defense? And I think that makes this Lions tour extra special for all of us. I don't agree that this is a 3-0, I must say. I think this is a 2-1 either way, Lions or Box. So it's either going to be a 2-0 Lions with the Box winning the third one, which doesn't mean much, or it's going to be a Box win, Lions win, and it's going to be to the final game. And let's try and wrap this up on that. Sharky, what do you think how this, with the squad being announced and without our squad being announced, how do you think this ends up?
Oh man, I don't go against the boxer.
Balls to the wall.
Can't ask me silly questions like that. But I think 2-1, and I think the Bucks take it. Ideally, I'd like them to take it in the first two tests, preferably 3-0. I'm not here for a spectacle. Like, you know, if we can win the whole series in the first game,
I think Sharky, me and you, we're all for 5 penalties to win the game. Like me and you, when it comes to rugby, we're all about the penalty kicks to win the game.
I just want to win. I don't care how. Like, just
we're about trophies. We're about trophies. We're not about like beauty.
Yeah, no, but I think I'm the same. I think I'm the same. I think it's 2-1. Yeah, 2-1 Box. I think Box win the first one, Lions hit back and win the second, and then like what Jade said though, if Lions win that first test, I just can't see either side beating each other like 2 times in a row. I think it's one of those games where you win, whoever wins makes an adjustment, win the second one, and then obviously the last one goes to the death. I think the Lions' real trick up their sleeve is Gregor Townsend as their attack coach. I mean, what he's done with Scotland's attacks, I think I feel like he's going to be their trump card. He's going to be the ace they have. So, but yeah, Box 2-1.
So, who's our attack coach? Is it still?
I'm not even actually sure. Felix, yeah, he's Felix. Yeah,
is Felix our attack coach?
Yeah,
we changed it up.
Yeah. No, he was attack coach once. They just gave it a different name, like a defense analyst or something.
Defense analyst, yeah.
Well, that means Damien's scoring 3 tries in every game, so I'm just putting it up.
Yeah.
Just for fun, who will absolutely hate this, and Sharky will know. Fawn's not the biggest Damien fan, so Damien's scoring a try in every test match. Jared, please end the podcast for us.
Yeah, I'm keeping my prediction the same as I did last week. The Springboks to win a 2-1, and we pick up 2 midweek wins. The South African teams.
So we're going for a good old 4-1, 4-6 win. Well, 4 out of 6, eh?
No, it's 4-4. I think it's 8 games.
Is it 8 games? So 4-4. Okay, but because we won 2 test matches, we win it.
Yeah.
Lovely, lad. Lovely. Okay, lads. We're gonna have to have more. We're actually gonna have to have a few of these chats when the Lions tour actually begins. So we'll make that happen. When the Springboks
team is
when the Springbok team is announced.
No, we'll definitely have one of those in the when the Box team is announced. But I'm saying during the tour, we're definitely gonna have to have one of these. So
no, definitely.
Lads, thank you so much for this evening, Sharky. It's great to have you back on the podcast. Please don't run away from Jared again. He really wanted to. And hopefully next time Bucky's is around, so you can give him a hard time.
Jared, I'm so sorry I didn't pitch last week. My humblest apologies.
No worries.
But it was good to meet you. And Jared, banter, bro. I'll just keep winding you up, my guy.
Yeah.
I'm actually disappointed that Bucky's isn't here because he picked Faz on the bench, and I knew you were going to give him absolute shit, Sharky, for that.
Oh, bro, again, like I really don't know what Gatton's going to. I don't see Farrell not starting, but I can understand if he starts on the bench because then he covers 10 and 12. I can understand it. I'm not totally opposed to it. I just don't
just
know
don't understand.
why people don't.
You're not opposed to it,
I
but
just
you don't understand
why
it.
people don't think he should be in the squad. Silly.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, but Kooks, as Finn Russell, Kooks is part of the Faz club. Like,
Yeah, I think I'm in a camp of one here in the Fairs Club.
How's about this? How's about combining Farrell and Russell together? Farrell's defense and kicking, and Russell's attacking ability, and the shit will hit the fan.
No.
Then they'll win 5.
Yeah.
oh, then you have Honda
Yeah.
Pollard.
Yeah.
What, you have Honda Pollard then?
No, buddy. No one. Andre's good, but no.
Anyway, lads, lovely chat. Have a good evening, and we will have a catch up when the Box decide to announce their squad. Do we have any idea when that is? Two boys from Ultimate Rugby.
No idea.
Nothing.
Thursday before the first test.
Thursday before the first test. Oh, beautiful. Do we have any idea when we know the squad for Georgia? Nothing.
Yeah.
No. It will be all the Villies, so it's all good.
Okay. Also, probably the Friday before the first test.
Yeah.
If I'm Jacques, I'm naming a squad of 50 and be like, try plan for this, cats.
Brilliant chat, lads. Have an awesome evening, and we'll chat when the Box decide to announce their squad for the Lions.
Awesome.
Guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, boys.